On this side of the veil, it is impossible to accurately express or talk about the nature of the divine. However, once mystic union has taken place, the veil is pulled aside, and we have access to the divine and his mysteries. Only then can we truly express and convey with accuracy the nature of the divine. Then we can truly use words and articulation for good and beautiful means, and for the glory of him. As God the Creator is constant, changeless, and ever the same in its all-knowing being, its nature is identically the same within the expression of its unfolding creation, just as much as infinitely beyond it. In other words, God's eternal being is always the same, no matter where. It is the same everywhere, infinitely and eternally, within or beyond. In that it is accessible and possible for each of us to directly know of the Absolute's nature, since we all exist within his boundless infinite being, of which we are never ever separate from. As it is written, for in him we live and move and have our being. And as such, the mystic state of union with him and his all is possible to each and every one of us, here and now, when we truly desire to attain him and his non-dual ultimate reality. Having come into direct contact with the divine, it has made me understand and appreciate that all religions have their value, and it is not the case that each religion worships their own unique God, but rather every religion worships the same God in their own way, according to how the cultures of those particular faiths have been influenced by the founding sages and prophets who encountered the divine directly, which ultimately led to their following and teachings about that. What the Christians call God, the Hindus call Brahman. What the Jews call Yahweh, the Muslims call Allah. What the Buddhists call the foundation ground of being, the Taoists call the Tao. What the American Indians call the Great Spirit, the Aborigines also call it the same. All these names are names for the same divine ultimate reality. And why would this not be so? For in the bigger picture, beyond all preferences and differences of opinion and belief, we all exist on the same planet, in the same galaxy, in the same universe, and in the same existence of reality in total. Note the key word there being same. We all exist within the same thing, no matter how we take it. And this is the perspective and ideal that all true mystics testify to, that reality is just one big being, in which we all live and move and have our being. No matter how far you go out, or in for that matter, all parts are part of the one big being of all. For if there was more than one God to reality, oneness and unity with the all would never be possible in the first place, if the universe was founded on the duality of competing gods. And since the mystic experience of union with all reality is possible to all, that is testimony that all reality is founded on the same essence and potential that pervades and sustains everything, known and unknown. This is the realization that has been attained by one who has become a mystic, or rather the one who has awakened to and reclaimed the mystic nature, ultimate original nature. For the cold-hard skeptics of us out there, and for those of us who even doubt the reality of God being so, the best and simplest explanation I can return to the materialist perspective to reality is this. If you take a look at reality close enough, it will very much lead towards the verification of a God behind it all. By its very nature and structure, the universe implies an all-pervading conscious intelligence throughout it all. Just for starters, take a look at the building block of nature, the atom. How precise and perfect its structure and many arrangements operate. That is certainly not random. Reality may present random and fluid at the immediate surface, but not in essence. If the atom were random, the entire universe and all reality would just be a total mash of gross splatter everywhere. It wouldn't even be that, for there'd be no atomic matrix order to form any structure at all. This is not the nature of the universe. Look at how complex and marvelous nature is, even at the impersonal subconscious level. There is no way that is random in essence. There is precise conscious order behind the atom structure and function that makes up everything. And that conscious order is not merely limited or subject to the immediate field area of the atom's structure, but rather that conscious order is everywhere, unlimited and indivisible, throughout all reality and existence. It's in you, it's in me, it's in the chairs you are sitting on, in the very space before you there, in the building, in the cars outside, in the trees, in nature, the earth, and even space and beyond. That conscious presence is everywhere and ever present. It is boundless, infinite and impersonal. Yet since we exist within it, we have the ability, or rather, it can impose its presence upon us directly and personally. And this is what happens in a mystic encounter, when we experience union with the all-in-all. That is how unity with all reality is possible, because of that boundless conscious presence pervading it all, holding everything all together. And whether we like it or not, this conscious presence is the same for all of us, no matter what name we give it or how we desire to worship it. Whether we believe in it or not, it is always there, sustaining us and everything. God be with you all, always. If anyone truly comes into some genuine, accurate understanding and appreciation of the reality of God being so, there will no doubt occur for the aspirant a deeply intense passion of falling in love with Him. And why not? To come into realization of our eternal being and home place brings the greatest joy, happiness, peace, and content upon oneself. Once opened up to God via mystic union, there is no going back and no return. You cannot take it back. Your life is forever after changed in that foundation, and you have gone through the second birth, reunion. From that moment onwards, no matter what troubles and harshness life deals out to you, your love and awareness of God is always with you. It is your constant rock and comforter above all else. And no one can ever take that away from you. Not even death. It is the one and only thing that can never fail you, nor can ever be taken away from you, no matter how tough the road becomes. When mystic unity comes upon you, it is truly a divine, beautiful experience. But afterwards there is a very deep sadness that befalls you, not of being pulled out of that union with God back into individual relative life again, but, oh my God, dearly wishing that everyone else could also experience that divine mystic unity as well, for themselves. Imagine how much the world would change then, how accepting, equal, and peaceful things would truly become. Passion and love for God will get you there manyfold faster than spending years of meditating the mind on God. For truly it is that the heart is far closer to God than what the mind is. Whether we are awake to it or asleep to it, no one is ever separate from God, no matter how far away or blind to Him we are. Thus, by spiritual heritage, we are all essentially a mystic, as it being all our absolute birthright to remember and reunite with Him. The nature of the Absolute is good. Being good, all things in created reality are essentially good. Evil is nothing more than the good distorted, gone wrong and perverted from its true state of being, that is always good. This occurs as a result of ignorance, not knowing that our true nature is good. The only way to correct evil is by consciously realizing our essential state and adjust our errors back to that, the good. All reality is consciousness. At the absolute end of the spectrum, you have consciousness as the pure, still, subjective observer, which is uncreated, unmanifest, unchanging, boundless, infinite, and eternal. At the relative end of the spectrum, you have consciousness in motion as the objective universes, causal, astral, and material realms, which are created, manifest, changing, temporal, and finite. The unmanifest quality of consciousness contains and sustains the manifest quality of itself. Consciousness manifest is the expression of consciousness unmanifest. The more consciousness moves into motion, the heavier, denser, and more dualistic it becomes. Thus it becomes manifest, ranging at the finest end as spirit, and falling to the grossest end as matter. As all reality is consciousness, in the realm of the Absolute, everything is subjective. That is why God knows all things at all times. At the quantum level of reality, space is virtually flooded and saturated by an indivisible field of light show. Essentially, all manifest reality is causal light and of that. As Genesis proclaims, "And God said, let there be light, and there was light." When this causal light becomes so-called denser, gross matter begins to take form, but essentially it is still all light. And the main factor to remember here is that we are not merely light beings trapped in gross, heavy matter, but everything, just as much as our being, is essentially one big, indivisible, light being in total. And the only reason why we experience all this infinite variety of seeming fragmented separateness is due to how our brain and physical senses operate and register through individuality. Individuality is the seeming illusion of being in the divide of duality. Individuality. But essentially, and most importantly, everything of manifest reality is just one big causal light being, ranging as a brilliant flowing spectrum from one extreme to the other. Within God's body of creation, the mechanics of reality are doing its thing. Thus relativity and duality is so, and for us, free will seems to be the regular flow from an individual perspective. But from God's perspective, the bigger picture, everything is experienced as absolute, one and complete. In other words, the entire picture is enjoyed as total and complete, rather than up close and personal. From our point of view, we cannot see or know of the bigger picture, or how and where we fit into all that totality. But from God's point of view, He does see and know the bigger picture, and where we and everything fits in together as one. This is the difference between divine will and personal free will. And for us, when our will is given the opportunity to surrender to the greater, how much easier and accepting the picture of life truly does become. Suffering and hardship is the true, genuine human conditioner to allow us to be in a sincere reflective state of vulnerability and exposure, to be opened up to experience and realize the other side of life, the impersonal, the bigger and greater things about life, reality, and ultimately to meekly open us up to union with God. Although it may not seem to be to the immediate eye, there is a very real working grace to the state of suffering and hardship. So you see, I have far more time and compassion for those who do life tough and work it out, rather than those who live in luxury and have the time to work it out. The former is the far greater virtue, the latter is mere indulgence. The former is the real saint, the latter falls short of that, big time. Blind preconception about others makes things 10 times worse. This is a result of ego, comparison and competition. Open compassion for others makes things 10 times better, accepting, peaceful and harmonious. This is a result of realizing the deeper essential unity of reality that we all share in together, equally as the one being of all. Preconception stems from personal mind, self-gratification and ambition. Compassion stems from the universal heart of impersonal subjectivity, non-difference and union, knowing that in total we are all one and the same. And seeing the disposition and expression of the realized elder, the enlightened youth said to the wise man, Do not look down upon me from your pride and position of experience. The difference between your current incarnation and mine is nothing when compared to the eternity of life itself, which fuses them both in indifference and equality. The ideal pinnacle of life is summed up perfectly by the Nazarene in his Sermon on the Mount, as it was also written in the law of the holy prophets. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your power, mind and soul, and treat others as you would have them treat you. In doing these two things alone above all else, having love and respect for the ultimate as well as for the immediate, everything gets taken care of, and no harm would come to us. But how we all fall so short of that. Cunningness destroys unity. Kindness restores unity. Belief, whether true or false, is lost in the discovery of realizing truth. No matter what you think or believe, opinionate or speculate, you can never escape from what is real and so, and what that is the truth. Give up everything you have come to believe, and then you will be in the good position to discover, understand, and realize what is true. The Judgment Day I will describe as such. Within the boundless, infinite, all-knowing being of God, for you and me, when our time arrives, our entire incarnation becomes fully open and exposed before all eternity. For there is no escaping the all-knowing consciousness of God. In that account, reflection and revealing, which is more so for us more than anything else, we attain spiritual freedom and liberation. We return back to eternal union with our Maker. Or if we desire to, according to that and our karma, we go back out into creation again. There is one thing worse than becoming consciously aware of the truth, to deny that and to continue in cunning, nasty ways. And that is being aware of the truth and withholding the knowledge and wisdom of that for the benefit and liberation of others. Thirdly, even worse to that, is being aware of the truth and consciously distorting that knowledge for the mere sake of convenience, resentment, and so-called political correctness. And that is the only thing that really scares me more than anything above all else, that the truth becomes violated and misrepresented. I deeply pray that God the Almighty will intervene before such things get totally ravaged and out of control. Putting it bluntly and to the point, the unmanifest is masculine, the manifest is feminine. Yet in the complete picture of them both together as ultimate reality, they are non-dual in nature and beyond difference. That is why God as absolute is beyond the duality of gender. God's creation is very much feminine. Human creation is very much masculine. As an analogy of truth, the story of Adam and Eve is a perfect symbolism of the genetic unfolding of the male and female natures. The divine Holy Trinity is the mystic threefold nature of the one absolute reality, God's being, both as macrocosm as much as microcosm, Father, Mother, Child, that which is, meaning that, being the eternal all-pervading source, the unmanifest infinite potential of the Father, which, being the bearing process of that coming into manifestation, the Mother, and is, being the result of the two coming together in love and union to continue the ever-creating process to create the constant unfolding of creation and manifestation, that which is, always. I am absolute. When the gap is bridged, the barrier dissolved between observer and observed, there will be no difference, and you will know me and be as I am, absolute, beyond separation and duality. This is my truest nature, all as and in one. Amongst all our variety and differences, we are all founded in unity. We are all the same, we are all human beings, we are all one. We all live on the same planet, in the same star system, the same galaxy, the same universe, the same creation, the same spirit, the same light of consciousness, the same creator. We are all the same. We are all one. The One. God be with you all, always.